Welcome to Living Fuel TV. This is KC Craichy bringing you another important health alert. Ebola is the biggest scare in the news today. We've heard about pandemics in the past, the bird flu and other things, or the bubonic plague from many years ago. But now there's something that's now knocking on our door. We've had now a person in the United States die from Ebola who came from Africa, and a nurse has apparently attracted Ebola, which would be the first patient to contract Ebola in the United States of America. Now, we're in a season of low immunity. This is the cold and flu season, aka the season of low immunity. So cold and flu is happening right now. The enterovirus has killed several children in the United States, and you got Ebola. And so the problem we have here is that people don't know where to turn for information. You have the CDC say that Ebola cannot be spread through surfaces or coughing and sneezing, and then you have other scientific organizations say that it can, and now the CDC and the World Health Organization have conflicted each other on that, and now everyone is now admitting that it can be contracted by being on surfaces, human fluids, and sneezing and coughing, airborne potentially also. So with a little bit of balance, I want to say that the test that is used to test for Ebola is, even the inventor of the test says it is not a test that should be used to test for Ebola. All the test does, it tests that for a presence of a virus. It doesn't tell you whether or not there's a viral load or the patient's infected or any of that sort of thing. So there is a lot of potential for jumping to conclusions here with Ebola. So if the woman, the nurse in the hospital, has in fact contracted Ebola when she allegedly was using a protective suit, and they were saying that potentially the way she took it off was when she got contaminated, taking the suit off or something like that. The truth of the entire matter is no one knows. Ebola has wreaked havoc in Africa for years. It has never spread out really out of West Africa before, and now it's been in France and the UK and now in the US. So on a very limited basis. So now it's time to look at the situation and say, is this real? And the sit back approach is very important in that you look at the people that have quarantined, and within 21 days, the quarantined people will test positive if there is in fact an issue with those people. So what can we do in the meantime? Well, I've spent some time with some world-renowned doctors in the last few weeks and asked that question a lot. What can be done? And the saddest portion of this right now is that only drugs have been considered as a possibility for treatment for Ebola. And drugs are a ways off. And drugs go through a process typically that takes years to approve a drug. And they're now using experimental drugs. And even in the last potential alleged pandemic, the bird flu, it was clear that the vaccines were injuring people more than the potential pandemic itself. And so there's a lot of issues to sort through in this particular situation. So I'm going to spend the next few shows trying to bring out the facts, not to draw any wild conclusions, but the net of it is, what can we do? So today, I'm going to leave you with a few things to think about. One is your immune system is really the only protection that we have. And so doing things to hurt your immunity is a bad idea. Now, you've heard us talk in the past, even from my first book from 2005, I talked about the importance of hydration, nutrition, exercise, stress, sleep, environmental hazards, and meditation and prayer. Well, these now are, if you just focus these 7 things, these 7 keys on dealing with immunity, then they all deal with immunity as well. Not just super health, but immunity specifically. Whether you're hydrated or not, what you're drinking as your fluids. Are you drinking soft drinks? Are you drinking juices? Are you drinking alcoholic beverages? What is it that you're putting in your system that is taxing your immunity? Or are you not drinking enough at all to give yourself the proper flow in your systems, your body systems? So hydration is very important. Nutrition is a huge area. If you are eating fried foods and junk foods and fast foods and donuts and so on, you are asking for a problem. If you go back to our shows on immunity, recently we've done several shows on cold and flu. This is the cold and flu season is what they call it, but that just means that immunity is typically suppressed during the season. Most people in the know would tell you it's because vitamin D levels are low when the sun is not out all the time and people are not out in the sun, the weather goes down or the sun goes down earlier and so on. So vitamin D manages or modulates immunity in the body. So we have to pay attention to what we eat and have to make sure that we are supplementing with vitamin D3 or we're going in the sun for an hour a day without sunscreen on. That is a primary thing to think about. But the shows that we've done on immunity talk about the leukocytic index. Without trying to get too scientific, the leukocytic index is how many bad guys that a white blood cell can terminate within an hour. And so it should be around 16. And so if you eat 100 grams of sugar, which could be easily in a small pizza meal or pasta meal, or just drinking sugar drinks or something along those lines, your immune system, your leukocytic index can drop 90% to say 1.9% in a matter of 15 minutes, and that can last for hours. Now, you're in a season where you know bad viruses, bad things are happening out there. You cannot just lay down your immunity and walk in these scenarios. So right now, focus on taking the sugar out of your diet and minimizing the white carbohydrates. If it's white, it ain't right. Okay, so another thing to think about is that the basic hygiene things that your doctors have said for a long time: wash your hands frequently, keep your hands off your eyes and mouth and nose and ears. It's hard to do on your own, but allow your friends to make you accountable so they can say, hey, don't touch your mouth. Hey, don't touch your nose. Hey, don't touch your ears. Whatever the case may be, because we don't realize that we're in the habit of doing these kind of things. So there's a lot more to go over right now. We'll leave you with that. Protect your immunity, build your immunity, focus on being immune, and I hope this was helpful to you. God bless you and have a great day.